This is John McNutt. I'm president of the MASA, the Mutual Agricultural Software Alliance Board, and we appreciate you taking the opportunity for us to share with you some information about our organization. And today we're going to be hearing from Joe Dykhuis and Daryl Ellis, and we're going to start off with Joe giving some background about MASA and then giving you a pretty good update of where we're at currently.
All right. Hello, my name is Joe Dykhuis. I am a farrow to finish pork producer based in West Michigan and Northern Indiana, a second generation family farmer. Dykhuis Farms Incorporated is our family's operating entity. We have about 17,000 sows and also raise 4,500 acres of row crops. We've been on the FBS platform for a number of years and are members in MASA. I have a degree in ag economics from Purdue University and been through the TPAP program. I'm currently serving on the board of MASA. So the title of this presentation is Using Cloud-Connected Farm Accounting to Integrate Your Farm's Information. So to get us in the right frame of mind here, I got a series of questions to challenge everyone with. So the first question would be, how many places are you recording information about your farm? If it's like one of our farms, there's probably many places. First one being paper. Yep, we're still recording things on paper in many places. How many places do you have paper records yet? Phone apps, are you using any of those to collect information? That's a popular growing area, probably more than one of those. Tablets, not all apps work on phones. Some are just geared toward tablets, or maybe we're using tablets in areas where it's where we can't get phones to work. How about computers and servers? This would be more traditional data management. How many different applications or programs are you using for your farm's data? Machine apps. Every machine is becoming smart now. So tractors, ventilation controllers, irrigation equipment, anything that's mechanical and has power to it seems to be getting smart. So are you collecting any information and recording it from machine apps? How about websites? Are there any websites that you go to access information, or that you also record some of your farm's information into? And then how many more are you actually evaluating about adding to your operation? I know we're always looking at new ways to capture data, and there's lots of things coming out now. Second question. How many places do you have information about your farms that you use to make operational decisions? So these would be decisions on, day-to-day operations. We got another question coming up about bigger picture data. So, what am I going to go do today, or how am I going to do it? How many gallons of fertilizer do I need to do my job today? How many pigs do I need to send to market? All these different questions. So do you have paper records? I know one of the things that I did this morning was actually print out a piece of paper for an operator off of an Excel spreadsheet with some nitrogen application decisions on it for them to make. So not everything always is smart. Phone apps, are you using phone apps? We're starting to use more of those in our pig operation, where a caretaker can look up information on their phone, maybe to look at Dropbox to get a injection rate for a certain pharmaceutical product. Tablets, how about computers? I know we use lots of those, lots of Excel spreadsheets. Machine apps, again, those same things we talked about in the last question. Are you Are you actually getting information to make decisions right off of those? Are there websites you're going to see the status of anything? Certainly some of those in the crop world. And then how many more of these applications are you looking at that can provide you information on how to make day-to-day decisions on your operation? It's the same list of things. These same technologies are kind of all around us here. So the next question, how many places or tools do you use to analyze your farm? So these would be, a little bit bigger, maybe a little bigger picture, reflective type things rather than I have to make a decision right now. So are you doing analysis on paper? That's, is it back of the napkin? Is it scribbling on a piece of paper because you're in a tractor cab trying to do things? I know my dad likes to figure things on paper a lot better than he likes to figure them on a computer. He can do math in his head, something a millennial can't relate to. So that technology, I am not smart enough for. Phone apps, tablet apps, there's some analysis tools available for those. Computer and server apps, lots of different programs that can do analyzation. Machine apps are some of those apps, not only telling you, collecting information, but actually giving you some analysis on what's going on. Websites, you got websites where you're looking at information. And how many more of those tools are being evaluated? I know our farm has a growing number of things we're either testing or looking at on here. So next question, why do we have so many recording methods for all, for our data? Why can't we just have one place, right? Well, not every device is available everywhere on the farm. Some places have internet, some places don't. Some operators can't use all the same technology. Another reason would be each brand of equipment often has their own data system. So if you've got John Deere, you got Case, sometimes they don't talk to each other. In the pig world, there's several different types of equipment and controllers that in a broad farm that's grown over the years, we don't have all the same equipment every year because it doesn't always, or in every farm, because it doesn't wear out that quickly. So our controllers from the 1990s are different than the controllers we put in last year. You got the Apple versus Android, right? Not all operating platforms are the same, even if you have the same equipment. Then also management apps are being used to capture data for some of those things we're using out in the field. So you can ditch the paper for those. So definitely want to use the things that can capture data out there. Sometimes we use different methods to limit access to sensitive information for the data recorder in the field. So maybe I don't want to use a fully integrated platform that shows dollars and cents. If I just need someone to write down how many pigs got treated in a barn. Sometimes there's compliance reasons that drive our recording methods. The state of Michigan, where I'm from, certainly has some regulations that require records be put on their form on paper, and you can generate some things electronically, but it has to end up on the piece of paper. And then we're always evaluating cost of capture versus time savings, and those drive our decisions of where we might record and how we might record different things. So next question, fifth question, why are there so many places for operational information and analytics? little different than the record keeping one, right? So and this is definitely consistent with MASA and FBS users. We want to make information driven decisions on our farm. So that means we need to have the right information in the hands of the right person at the right time to have those decisions made. And there's not one app that can deliver that right piece of information at the right time to the right person all the time. So it sometimes calls for different tools. So the next thing I want to talk about is some of this technology that's evolving in the world and starting to play more of a role in the agriculture space. So there's some new tools available to manage your information. So the first one's the cloud. Getting information into the internet up in the quote cloud gives us a lot of options, and we'll do a deeper dive on that later. Blockchain. This is a process for recording information of different parts of a supply chain and capturing it electronically and securely and building block by block a chain of a process verification piece. Then there's big data, right? So you don't have to watch many commercials to hear about big data and AI, and there's lots of information with algorithms that can be driven by having big chunks of data all together. The Internet of Things. So not only are things smart, but things are smart enough to talk to each other. We're all exposed to lots of that. Predictive analytics. Again, algorithms that can look at the past and predict the future. Phones, tablets, and internet showing up all over the place, making it much easier to capture data. Edge computing. So this is the concept of processing power getting cheaper and smaller in size, that it can be deployed more out in the field rather than in an office where data's got to come all the way back to have something done with it. There's the ability to remotely do some analysis of things. Data storage costs getting cheaper and cheaper. And then the application programming interface, or what we call APIs, these automated connections between different databases. And we'll do a little deeper dive on that in a minute as well here. Those are all kind of new things. So how do we make effective use of all this information that we're collecting? How do we utilize all these new tools becoming available? It can be a little overwhelming. That's where we want to bring to this presentation the idea that the MASA group is working on. So MASA is a collective group of producers really looking for answers to all of these different questions. So I've got our purpose statement up here on the slide, and we really think we need to bring to this new data ecosystem a financial piece that can help pull all these different pieces of data together and work together to accomplish that. So our vision's to be primarily owned and controlled by our users, and that's where we started. A bunch of users of FBS coming together to say, hey, how can we build on this platform, which is the second point of the vision here. How can we build on this platform of integrated software and move it forward for the next generation? And then we think we've got to be able to work with allied organizations to develop applications that can integrate with the MASA database. We can't do everything technologically ourselves, but we want to help glue all the data together that an operation is working with out there. We think our three core strengths are empowering producers, which that's really twofold. One is You know, we are a farmer-owned group. But the other thing is putting data in the hands of farmers and putting farmers right in the middle of this ecosystem, to empower them to drive how their data is captured and how their data is used and how they can turn that into decisions. Second point would be, or strength would be, a proven platform. I'll dive into that some more here. And then third thing, that we're going to be working with prominent partners on this thing. So like I said earlier, FBS system is really our foundation. John spoke about that a little bit in the intro. So a few of these core concepts that the MASA group just really couldn't find any other replacement for out there in the marketplace is these integrated production and accounting records. My operation produces audit quality financial records, and when I have an integrated database of accounting and production, I can make the claim that I have audit quality production records, and that really gives confidence in making decisions. And I'm not willing to move off of that to move to any other system. Then it's an activity-based, true managerial platform where you can be capturing margin by activity out there in your operation. Inventory management, a backbone of this system, which is tough to replicate out there. Work in process inventory evaluation that also can perform to the rigors of an audited quality inventory values. And then you can keep cash records, accrual records, management records, and market value balance sheets and income statements all under one platform, one database. Layering with that, you can also run multiple entities and consolidate them accurately with this FBS platform. And then the import and export functionality has just been a core strength of FBS over the years, with the ability to import raw data files from feed mills and packers especially, and then through a custom import with really anything you can get into a text or CSV file. And then like I talked about earlier, audit quality records. This is a quick slide on all the different things that FBS has in their platform. You can see it's really is an integrated business solution for accounting and crops and livestock, as well as the business administration side of payroll and AP and accounts receivable. So MASA is working to transition this system into an integrated desktop or the FBS system, that's an integrated desktop platform, into a world-class secure cloud database with the flexibility and performance that is ready to run any scale of production enterprise. And that's just another plug of the MASA group here. It's different size operations and different specialties, but all with that same data quality in mind. So MASA is trying to take that same rigor, that same discipline that we've developed on this FBS platform and move it into the cloud, where we can have these modern features of the cloud accounting database. We can use these APIs. We can have real-time data collection and data storage, and then have cloud storage available for all farm-owned data, which we don't have a solution for now. So this is our graphic kind of outlining how this process works here to empower producers, and kind of how we link with proven partners here. So I'm going to go full screen with this slide so it's a little bit easier to see. So in the middle of the data graphic here, we can see this green cloud. So everything kind of centers around this. So what's in that green cloud? So the first thing is we have our local copy of our MASA tools here, our accounting files, and in that platform, and that can be housed on a computer on our local server, and then we're replicating that database up in the cloud. So you can work in one or the other, and they will be able to stay synced up. But we keep a copy up here in the cloud, and what does that allow us to do? Well, it allows us to work with other business-to-business vendors that have cloud systems themselves to automate some of these import and export functions that we have, or replace some manual or analog things that we have. The other thing that we can do with an accounting platform when we're in the cloud is utilize these third-party accounting services like bills.com or bank interfaces where you can get automated bank reconciliation and things like that. That's something that with the FBS platform is not available at this time. So MASA is going to upgrade that so we can do that. Then we see this whole other layer of value that can be added, and processes that can be automated and standardized. So over here in the upper left-hand corner, I have my what I call ABC management app. So pick your favorite app that you're using on your operation right now. There's probably information in there that if you could have it seamlessly flow into your accounting system, there's information in there probably that you would want. That might be quantities used of different products, or maybe there's inventory values or something in there that you want to have. An example for my operation would be we're working with BI on a system called Farmera, where there's an app our caretakers are working on in the barns, where it's automated barn records where they're entering death loss, for example. Well, I want to get that back into my MASA database. Well, that can be set up to automatically roll in there. And then there's things in many of those management apps that you have to fill out, right? So when someone sells you an app, it's not loaded with your fields or not loaded with your group. So how do you keep that? How do you fill that bucket, right? Well, our accounting systems have a lot of those things in them, especially the MASA platform with the integrated production component. So I can populate that app with things that I want to get from accounting. And there might be things that I can't get any other way into this app other than typing in manually, where I can leverage maybe taking an invoice from a supplier, pulling it into accounting, and then put it right into this third-party app. Then these third-party apps might actually have connections to other apps. You know, this would be app XYZ. So in the pig world, a good example here would be a smart ventilation controller is collecting information about what's happening in the barn, going into another barn management app. There's no accounting information happening there, but I might want to keep a copy of some of that information. And I might have 2 or 3 different apps here, especially if you think about machine apps that you're collecting the same thing, but they're not in the same platforms. Well, what do you do with that data? Well, our thought is that we push that over here into our database and aggregate it there. And then we can work to clean, shape, and transform that data to come up with a database that actually takes the similar things or the same things in different other platforms and roll them together into one database that we have control over. So now that we have this data cloud here of our farm data, that we know what it means, and we've taken that accounting level discipline to our other farm information and organized it correctly. Well, it looks to us like there's a lot of opportunity now to utilize some of these tools like Power BI, Tableau, other AI, predictive analysis, business intelligence type applications, that the only limitation of what you can do with these is what data you can feed them. So that's the, you know, the in a nutshell, what we're trying to move forward with to accomplish here at MASA. So I'm going to turn the floor or the screen over here to Daryl Ellis, who is going to do a demonstration on, as well as a little more background on Power BI, which is one of these business intelligence platforms here. So Daryl, if you want to fire your audio up, I'll get your first slide queued up here and just let me know when you want me to advance.
Thank you, Joe. Like Joe mentioned, data analytics, data intelligence, business intelligence, it's a hot buzzword. And the best way that I can explain it is last year we were all familiar with these COVID dashboards. And one of the sites that I went to quite often was one that would start out at a global view. And you could see the hot spots around the world, around the globe. You can see kind of the trend, where it ranked relative to the rest of the world. And just the interactivity always intrigued me. So for example, you can click on the North American continent and you could drill down one more level. You can see a little more detail on, say, the US and Canada and Mexico, maybe some of the Caribbean islands. If you clicked on the US, you could drill down to the states. And then within the states, you could drill down to the county. Then I even saw some dashboards that you could drill down to your city, and they get quadrants within your city. So I live in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I could see what the COVID rates were within 8 or 10 miles of where I lived. To me, that technology fascinated me. There's a lot more to data analytics than just the reporting, the machine learning, and there's just so much more out there. But my focus, my emphasis has been on the reporting side. And this reporting and connectivity with these data analytic tools is only possible through the API connectivity that we have through some of the MASA efforts. So some of the examples I want to be showing are related to one of my clients, where our focus is understanding what's going on inside the business. And one of the frustrations that people have had as I've worked with them is the timeliness and the accuracy and the ability to generate this information readily. Well, 2 or 3 years ago, when I became familiar with this technology, I saw instantly, hey, we have the capability of generating these reports automatically. You know, we refresh them overnight. So I was beginning to see some of the potential that these tools had. So my focus the past few years, go ahead, Joe, has been to take the Power BI is a tool that I've been working with, and incorporating it with one of my clients. This particular client is crop focused, traditional, FSA structured. We have ownership and operating entities, but he also is very interested in understanding how well divisions or segments within each of those divisions are doing. So tremendous amount of detail, tremendous amount of reporting requirements. And some of the examples I'll be showing you are the results of understanding what's going on inside the business. And then just to forewarn, I think most of you would appreciate, this is confidential. These are real numbers, live numbers. So we've blurred out or kind of hidden some of the key numbers, but I think we're close enough. You get the point. Okay, this first example, to me, it's the mother lode of all reports. It's a report that I've never been able to generate in my 25 years of being a CFO/data analyst. But basically, we have production years going across in columns, and then going down are the different divisions or products within those divisions. For example, this client has products, which is primarily his crops, and services, and he does a lot of work, custom work type activities for neighbors and landlords. Well, we can see the profitability of each of those divisions or services at a glance over the last three or 4 years of time. So this technology has just opened my eyes to what we can really see and what we can really get to by connecting it to our accounting data. Go ahead, Joe, please. So, like I mentioned, being able to drill down or have the report interactivity. Here's an example of a crop year report. We have our 4 or 5 crops drilled down by year, and we can see our acres and our historical yield and our profitability for each of those crop years. And over on the right, you can see the red, green shaded colors. Well, that just gives us a trend and understanding of trends of profitability for these different crops. Again, it's just one more level down from the production year reporting that I showed visual screen. Drilling down even further now, basically this is a crop income statement, and going down to your traditional revenue and expense lines for each crop revenues, your fertilizers, your seed, chemicals, your operation costs. And then over on the right is our profitability by individual field. And in this case, it's for the 2020 soybean crop, I believe. So you can see there's, I've hidden the numbers, but there's about $150 swing between the top and the lower performing fields. Why is that? One of the first things that I noticed when I put this together, over on the right, you can see near the third from the bottom bar with a deeper green color, which represents yield. Why was a field that had such a high yield have such low profitability? Well, we could click on that bar, and that dollar per acre change column would tell us exactly where that change came from. To me, that's very powerful information, is to understanding the reasons why one field is poorer performing or better performing than others. Okay, then again, as my experience as I've worked with producers and showing this kind of reports, eventually people want to start questioning and wanting to know the detail. And just one more drill down on the fertilizer line, and here we can see the different products that were applied, the purchase cost per unit of the different fertilizers, our application rate, our cost per trip acre, and then percent of the acres covered, ending up with $1 per crop acre. And having this type of detail, to me, is important because it provides credibility to your overall numbers. You're able to see what generates the numbers below it. Okay, one more example of the type of reporting we can get to. This client is very, like I said, is very interested, wanting to know its activity cost. And here we have an example of yellow corn combining. And we noticed on an hourly basis that cost was increasing significantly over time. Well, drilling and digging into it, we realized that it was related to the lease that was being charged from the ownership entity. So the last year or two, we've reduced that lease, and there's some stories behind that, but we've dropped that lease. But then the question comes up, well, how does that affect the profitability over on the ownership side? So the bottom chart shows us the profitability over the 4 years. And in this case, 2 out of the 4 years there's profits, and the other 2 years there's a loss. But cumulative, I think there's like a $600 gain over over those 4 years. So that proves that at least we were close over time, but we weren't very close within each of the years. So in closing, all I'm trying to do is just show give everyone a taste what we can get to with these data analytic tools. To me, like I tried to explain with the COVID dashboards, it's going to transform how we interact with the data. We can, just a few clicks, we can drill from a high level down to a very detailed level. To me, as a data analyst and being in this position for a lot of years, that's very powerful. Just being able to prove and have credibility behind your numbers. And again, I'm just in the infancy of what we're trying to do. We can get to financial ratios, comparison with budgets. One of the exciting things I'm looking forward to, at least with this Power BI product, we can integrate with Excel. And I've spent many hours, many days, taking numbers from the FBS system or from wherever and typing them right back into Excel. Once we get it into the Power BI data model, we can pull those values in automatically through special type formulas, how the two systems talk to each other. To me, that's going to be, anybody that's been in my position, I think, would really jump at joy by being able to see that. And just some examples, market position reports, borrowing base reports, those are just examples that I can see forthcoming out of a system like this. But the key point that I want to make with all this is we have one version of the truth. How many times do we hear that? We have different apps, different ways of doing things. We want one version. And coming out of the financial system is the only place that one version is going to be derived. And the other positive piece of this is we can look at multiple entities. Again, multiple entities and one reporting tool is something I've never really had ability to do. But the foundation of all this is what the MASA group and their efforts in the API, that's what makes all this data analytic reporting comes to fruition. So I'm really excited about what MASA is doing, and and again, we're just in the infancy of what we're doing, and there's a lot of better things yet to come. With that, Joe, I'll turn it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Daryl. In summary of this presentation, there's lots of great apps out there. And there's more and more coming all the time with lots of different utility across different operations. Data is becoming more useful than ever, and audit quality data discipline is still foundational to having a good farm data set. As things get more complicated, IT and database structures are critical to powering these data tools and integrating accounting data into the other tools that are being developed. We think is a huge opportunity. We're just really at the beginning of this ag data revolution, as we like to talk about it. And many other industries are a ways out in front of us. We've had the disadvantage of being desegmented with where our locations are, where, in manufacturing, or some of these other logistics or things like this, they have one large place where they do all their work connected to the internet, and connectivity has not been a problem like it is out in the rural areas where we produce agricultural products. And then the final thought about MASA's take on this whole situation is that farmers need to manage their data systems like they manage their production systems. We got to know what's going on. We have to, and we've got to be the ones who get in the middle of it and piece this together to make the right information, the right system for our own benefit. Just like you have to understand enough about soil conditions, plant genetics, fertilizers, disease control, pests. You don't have to be an expert of all of them, but you have to know some of it, and you got to take all those pieces together and put it together and to create your ag product. And it's the same way with data systems nowadays. So we just really want to encourage farmers to step up to the plate, and we're trying to build tools to equip farmers to do that. So if there's anything that has interested you in this presentation, there's a few different ways to connect with us. You can go to our website. Got a couple email addresses there for Norm Brown and John McNutt. And we've got our phone number up there, as well as you can scan the QR code on the slide.
And Joe, thank you very much. And thank you all for taking the time to learn a little bit more about Mutual Agricultural Software Alliance, MASA. And please reach out to us if you'd like more information.